Stephan, welcome aboard Ocean 18.
Yeah.
Has Vegas killed you yet or not?
No, I behaved myself, so I went to bed early, and so far I was focusing on judging,
Okay.
a little bit of socializing, a little bit of restaurants, and a little bit watching other people play, but I did not put my money on the table so far.
Are you going to put it?
Maybe later today.
Okay. It's your last day today, right?
It's my last day.
And
Yeah,
then
I'm off
tomorrow. What do you make of Vegas? I mean, was it your first time or it's like you've been here a few times already?
It's I think my sixth time.
Okay.
And it was always with Lias.
Do you like Vegas?
Yes, I like it, especially this hotel.
Yeah,
I think
that's
Steve
like-
Wynn did a good job in the concept of that one.
Right. Okay, look, 7 questions like the 7 C's. You're familiar with the format. We just talked a little bit
Yes.
offline. So let's go with the first one. In the 2011 film Margin Call, I don't know if you have watched this.
Of course,
It's a
I
great
love it.
movie.
I watched
right?
it several times.
Jeremy Irons delivers a monologue where he says, I'm here for one reason and one reason only, to guess what the music might be or might do in a week, a month, or a year from now. In the movie, he played the role of a big time CEO, and someone asked, he asked someone, "Do you mind to know why I'm making the big bet? Because I'm here just like to decide what the music is gonna be." Now, as a CCO of Ogilvy, overseeing more than like 50 offices, do you feel like that you can predict the music of the advertising industry?
Jeremy Irons in that film is in the banking industry.
Right.
And the banking industry is delivering the fuel, but the banking industry is not inventing products. The banking industry is not doesn't have a research and development department like, for example, Siemens or Mercedes-Benz or Google has it. So they have to read the market and predict the developments to make the right investments. Creative industry is different, so I think it's our duty we decide where the music goes in our industry. So,
Do you have, so that's very interesting. I'm going to push a little bit. Do you think that you decide or is the client design and you go accordingly? Because it seems that, as you might be aware, the client hold the power.
yes, but very often, more and more, I feel that we as an agency and we as consultants, we are pushing clients to go bravely and even come up with product ideas or with product iteration ideas or with service ideas. And I think that a good agency has the duty to push the clients towards new things and going in the mode of controlled risk and be a kind of sparring in terms of, how can we conquer new target audiences and things like that. Like Gen Z, for example, is a permanent topic. But our creative power is, we are creatives and we can write the music. So in your metaphor, we are here to create new tunes and to try new stuff, see if the audience reacts and likes it, or if it's a hit or if it's a flop.
Generally, high level, let me just dive into this analogy. High level, what kind of music are you listening to now? What kind of music you would actually assign to the advertising industry right now, like in 2024? Is it jazz? Is it rock? Is it like...
I grew up with very broad, so I'm deep into classic music. I love jazz, especially cool jazz, Miles Davis. But my biggest music influencer is my now 16-year-old son. So he completely opened me the new exciting world of rap. So Travis Scott, Lil TJ, Frank Ocean, Tyler the Creator, this is what is dominating our family playlist right now, and it's very, very good. And
If you were to assign a music genre
Yeah.
to the advertising industry right now, what would that be?
I think mostly pop. You know,
Okay.
it's most of the stuff is very consumable for very broad audience. So Taylor Swift, it's the main tune, but there are some niches, where you hear different kind of tunes.
That's interesting.
No,
Okay.
but he even took me to Rolling Loud. So when it was first in Europe, we were there for 3 days. So I was where Travis Scott was in Frankfurt at the football stadium. I was there. So
What about the classical music? Who is your favorite composer?
without any doubt, Mozart.
Mozart.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Requiem of Mozart is one of my favorite pieces. I listen to it like once a month.
Yeah.
And then I can't think of Mozart without thinking about Milos Forman
Yes.
movie Mozart, which it was unbelievable,
And
incredible.
and you still can watch it, because the camera and everything, it's done with honest devices. So it still feels very fresh when you watch
amazing,
it,
yeah.
although it's from 1984, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we talk about this in the teen drama by Günter Grass, one of my favorite writers. The protagonist Oscar decides never to grow up after hearing his father declare he will become a grocer. Now, throughout his life, a teen drum from his third birthday remain his most treasured possession. Is there a gift or a possession from your childhood that has defined who you are today or somehow influenced some of the traits that you hold today in your personality?
I'm not a person who keeps things, I bought all my furniture and sold it, when I was moving there. There are not many things that my heart is connected to, but I think I've got one book from my childhood, which is the fairy tales from Brüder Grimm. So all that
Brother
stuff,
Grimm,
and it's really very emotionally tied because my grandma read it to me again and again, and this book is one of the most important books in my
What
wide
of the
collection.
fairy tale of the Brother Grimm? Which fairy tale of the Brother Grimm you like the most, or like you as more significant?
There's one which is called Von einem, der Auszog, das Fürchten zu lernen. So the translation would be the one who travels to get scared. This guy doesn't feel any fear,
Okay.
and so he's on an experimental journey, and he, there are people who get hung, right? And he rips off the ropes and sits by the fireside with them, right? Or he goes in a haunted castle, where the ghosts are coming, and he's got to play bowling, with skulls and things like that. So this was one which was really kind of stimulating my imagination.
That's awesome. Okay, so Amphitrite, goodness queen of the sea, inspire all marine life. And when she married Poseidon, he honored her with a dolphin, making out of the constellation. When you think of the word mother, what are the first 3 words that come to mind?
Warm brown eyes.
Warm brown eyes. That could be even like a complete sentence on its own.
Yeah.
Warm brown eyes. I normally riff on answer, but I don't want to riff on this answer because like there is so much story behind it, and I don't think like, I want to leave that there. Sometimes like the unsaid or the pause and the silence like speaks like louder than any other like, conversation you can entertain. I love it.
No, so my grandmother with the fairy tales and my mother, she looked very Italian, just dark curly hair, dark brown eyes, and my family was kind of led by two very strong women. So I know how to deal with female power.
If time travel were possible, it would be like a return course in nautical terms. No journey is complete without knowing your way back. In the marine life, wherever you embark on a travel, on a journey, you always need to make sure that you know your return, your way back. If you could meet your younger self, what advice would you give about what to let go of your journey, of your life journey? One thing that you'd say, don't bother about that, so let it go. It's too heavy for you to carry.
I would say, take all the twists and turns, because I didn't take a straight way to what I'm doing now. A lot of twists and turns. Spent a long time at universities. Did various things, tried this and that, and I think the only advice I would give is worry less.
Worry less. So let go of the worry.
Let go the worrying, because my father died when I was early 20s, and so also financially I always had to take care of myself, so that I didn't have much support from my family, and so you're permanently in a kind of overwhelmed situation where you feel stressed, and now looking back to this young man that I was, in early 20s, I just would say, it's all going to be good, worry less.
Are you familiar with the glass of water experiment about the worry? It was done by a psychologist. It became like kind of a viral video in the past few years. There is this psychologist that like grab a glass of water in front of a class and he just pour the water. No, just hold the water. And he say like, if this glass of water is like very light and you can hold it, like, but if you hold it for like 1 minute is nothing. You hold it for 1 hour, it's okay. You hold it for like 10 hours, start becoming heavy. If you hold it for an entire day, that glass of water is gonna paralyze your arm.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the analogy, that glass of water is your worry.
Yeah.
You worry for a minute, it's gonna be okay. You worry for an entire day, it's gonna crush you.
Yeah.
And I think it was like so simple, but like very powerful experiment. Like you never really think about it because it involved weight. Because I do think that worry has a physical weight to it.
Absolutely.
Black holes aren't just found in space. They exist in our oceans with large headies trapping everything within. Now at Transatlantic, we believe that everybody is an ocean and everyone has their own black holes. What's yours and what's trapped inside your black hole?
I think my black hole is my brain. So
the entire brain is a black hole.
Yeah, it's got which is true. It's a limitless storage of useless knowledge and of stuff, and I can't stop thinking. It's like my brain is always trying to find shortcuts, interesting combinations, and is always hungry for stimulation and new kind of stuff. And so I was very good at science. So I studied psychology and philosophy of science. So I could have started an academic career. But at the same time, there's so much other stuff, which is tickling me.
But what's trapped in there? Because a black hole, normally, if you follow the analogy of the black hole swallow everything, and everything becomes like, it's zeroed everything, right?
Yeah.
So if the entire brain is a black hole, everything has been swallowed, but what's really trapped inside? Is there anything trapped inside that it could come out? So like light, if it goes inside a black hole, it gets trapped.
Yeah. Maybe aggression.
Aggression.
Yeah, maybe
Okay, that's a
aggression
good
is
word.
something. So I've got a very impatient side, so I'm an Aries, and so I think one thing that I have to control is my temper sometimes, you know, because I'm super impatient, you know. It often it takes too long for people around me to follow my thoughts or to do what needs to be done, and so I get impatient and therefore frustrated, and frustration leads to aggression. And so, but this is something that I really want to trap inside me, you know, and overcoming that.
Okay, a Soviet psychologist developed like the concept of the zone of proximal development. This zone calculate the distance between independent problem solving and what can be achieved with guidance.
Yeah.
Now, considering this in the trajectory of a young creative career, how would the lack of guidance affect their development? If you were to embark on a journey in advertising with no mentorship, with no guidance, just on your own, how would this affect?
It takes 10 times longer, and it really affects. So maybe only a few geniuses could go their way in the right direction and to great results from the very beginning. So I clearly remember every teacher and every mentor at university and every mentor in the ad industry who was making me in a short time better. You know, with a bad teacher, you go like that. With a good teacher, and I had one, you know, within 1 year, he brought me from there. And it was a steep learning curve. It was frustrating because, you know, it's a bit like meeting a Zen master. You know, you don't know the principle. You just see the results, but you don't know the way how to get there. And it's in the beginning, it's frustrating, you know, and, you know, because with this people of this kind of level of expertise, you know, they reject a lot of stuff from you. But if you are a good student, so there are good teachers who can teach everyone, but there are also motivated students like I was. You know, I just wanted to crack the code, and then it took me some months.
What code?
It's a code, and then you're on a higher level of enlightenment, and no matter what, you know, so I had, for example, this was especially about copywriting, so it really brought me to a stage where, you know, I can do.
Stay on the code a little bit. I'm more interested about this. When you say, when someone say crack the code, is a colloquialism that is used like in many different instances. Like for you, when you use this sentence to crack the code, how do you imagine this code to be articulated?
So this first code in my career was about, you know, how to be a really good copywriter, you know, who can write headlines that are, you know, super simple and very, very powerful, and that you really can write copy in a way, or write moving images in a way that is really super simple and powerful. Later on, I was trying to crack the code of strategy, so I consciously analyzed, you know, what is the brand success of Nike? What was the brand code of Marlboro? And then also Dove, which was a quite new development. And I really, you know, because I'm a scientist, you know, I was trying to create a simple theory for me, you know, what.
Would you say, to me there is a fine line between cracking the code and creating your own code. That when I think about Nike, I mean, it's such a cliche to think about that kind of brand. But when I think about great brand that create artists, I think more about they created their own code. They just didn't crack a code. They created their own code. And I think also when I think of writer, like, you know, I don't think it's more about creating your own code, creating your own language. You know, think like a great, like, you know, Gunter Grass, like, you know, I don't think Gunther like crack a code, but he created his own code. And so Stanley Kubrick in movie, or like, Louis Ferdinand Céline in French literature. But so I don't know how much power holds the idea of, because when you say cracking the code, you imply that someone had a code.
Yeah, but I still would defend this position, So these brands are very, very different in expression. It's like you've got Dove on one side, you've got You're Not You When You're Hungry, or you've got Skittles, you've got crazy stuff, you've got epic semiotic stuff like Marlboro Country, but they all have something in common.
Right.
So, and this is what I was interested in. Just how can you, in a nutshell, kind of describe what this is about? And this really, so this thorough analysis of I did it for half a year, and really was digging deep into, brought me also to a level when I look at a strategic problem right now, it's almost like I see where the problem is and I see the solution. It is really it gets you very fast, right? And this is the advantage of being long in a business, just to intuitively see through all the jungle of misinformation and see the pattern and know what to do.
I see what you're saying, and I hear you on some level, but I do think also there is a problem of copycatting or imitation. A lot of brands that are not Nike, for so to speak, they're trying to crack the code, but by doing that, they follow the code that has been created by Nike.
It's not decoding to copy. It is decoding to understand the principle, and then get the knowledge, to create something as unique as Nike, but totally distinct.
Right. What I'm trying to say, though, and of course, this is some principles don't exist.
Yeah.
Unless someone come along and create this principle. There's a beautiful quotes in the movie The Outsiders, which was actually in the poster. The movie is based on a book written by...
Which movie?
The Outsiders.
The Outsiders.
It was written by... The book that inspired the movie was written by Eloise Hinton. And the quote is say, from time to time, someone come along and change the way you view things.
Yeah.
That person that comes along is writing the principle, the code that will be built upon.
Yeah.
So I'm literally talking about if this person was Nike many, many years ago, they were not even those principles. They create those principles. They create the code. But anyway, this is a very interesting conversation and different point of view. But I was very much drawn by that set of words. Okay, last question, and then I'll let you off the hook. Leah has honored you with the presidency of Creativity in B2B Jury. B2B often feels like a soulless abbreviation for business to business. But if you could infuse more humanity into this term, B2B, what would you redefine it? If B2B as expression wouldn't exist, what would be your expression?
Human to human,
H to H.
It's expert to expert, and B2B has come a long way. So my very first agency over 30 years ago was a small B2B agency, and I did, advertising for weird stuff like tower cranes and for material specialists, and I was writing annual reports, and it was very rational, and it was all about buying center and arguments, and I think that over the years the B2B agency realized, this guy with his suit sitting in the buying center of a big corporation is the same guy who drives home and listens to Led Zeppelin, right? Because these were the people of that cohort at that time. And what I saw here on B2B, it made big leaps forward. So we we had really super emotional, super funny, super convincing stuff that really cares about people, that cares about shop owners, for example. There's one beer brand who cares about retirement plans of shop owners in South America, because they realize, these shop owners, they cannot retire. They have to literally work until they drop dead, in their 80s and 90s, because there's no social security system, there's no private pension plans. And so this beer brand said, okay, let's convert, all their kind of orders of the beer bottles into a point system, so we can contribute to kind of pension fund. Yeah? And I think there's a lot of humanity, and it's B2B. It's a beer brand, and it's
I never really like this person B2B, like personally, and I actually work extensively on some of the B2B clients. I found it like so aseptic and like so narrow-minded. Actually, if anything, it's truly narrow-minded.
I worked on. I was hired in '97 at Ogilvy Germany to work on IBM. We had our own campaign for small and medium businesses, enterprises in Germany. I won Siemens Health. I won Siemens globally. I did power transmission, engineering, and yes, these kind of companies, they've got a very kind of technical, rational mindset. So it's the way they're approaching things. It's like, engineering machines and also engineering communication. And so it is. It was a bit heavy, but we can be proud as Ogilvy. Since '94 we are the IBM agency, and we had great stuff. Like The Boy and His Atom, like Watson and things like that. So on IBM there were always creative peaks that showed all that. Films from Joe Pytka, which were making hugely fun out of these business cultures and the decision making, and so the more corporate the whole setting gets, the more funny B2B communication can be. One of the latest examples that I'm really proud of is, so for over 20 years I'm working now on German Rail. And we had this wonderful series of low-budget films where you just see a video conference that completely goes wrong. Like it's all that echo, it's all that misunderstanding, it's all that drop off. The daily madness that we have on Teams, on Zooms, on Google Hangout, just as a nice little short film, all that mishaps, and then just a line: meeting in person is still an option.
Right.
German Rail business travel, and it was a big winner here last year. It won a lot of statues. It was.
Was a really good insight.
Yeah, exactly, and so it was a low cost production below, and all the voices we used were people from the agency, and it was a huge success on LinkedIn, and everybody loved it, because you have to find this human insight and that pain points, and then if you burst in that bubble, it's like good comedy. A good comedian, has a sense of cultural tensions or human tensions and a playful way to burst this bubble, and because everybody feels a relief at that moment, to laugh about the pain you have with all that online meetings.
Well, Stephan, thank you so much for being aboard the
Thank you for very inspiring questions.
Great conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.